Tracie here with BibleJournalingMinistries.com, and today we are decoupaging our faith-based printables onto pumpkins. This is going to be so fun. Let me show you what I have. I've got two pumpkins. These are from the dollar store, like the Dollar Tree, and they were $1. They're styrofoam. I think they're hollow inside, I think. They're called carving pumpkins, and they were $1 each. And then she just gave me this one because she said it fell off of something and she was wondering if I could do something with it, so I'll just decoupage that too, why not. And I'm going to be using this Liquitex Basic Acrylic White Gesso. You can use any gesso that you have. White gesso would be great, or you can use white acrylic paint. That's going to work just fine as well. I'm going to be using some Mod Podge. I usually don't use Mod Podge for much, but I have it, and if the lid will come off, I'll use it. I have some of these little cheap craft store foam paintbrushes that I'll use. I figure why not? I got them, I think, at the Goodwill in a bag of stuff. So yay, I'm going to use those. And I'm going to use our printables. So this is our fall paper pack line. And what you get with this line is you get the portrait landscape of the very cute fall leaves that say peace, joy, glory, Messiah, Jesus, hope, trust, love, God, Savior. That's what it says on these. And then you also get the dark colored one that says precious, loved, thankful, adored, grateful, saved, blessed. And you get that also as well in the portrait and the landscaping size. So you also then get the colored paper as well. Now this is all digital, so you'll download it, but you get the kind of a rusty reddish brown, the yellow, the blue, and the brown that all coordinates with this. Now I printed all of these out on cardstock just to show you, because I think they're going to make great. These will be great for either a composition book that I might do, or even cards, to make cards. So I have them and I'm excited to use them. But what I did specifically for this tutorial was I printed them out on tissue paper. So I have the lighter color. I printed the landscape version out. So I'm going to use landscape version because these are quite short, and I figured I could probably use just two to get it on there. That's the idea anyways. So I printed out 4 of these, even though maybe I might just need 2. And then I printed out 3 of the brown ones in landscape mode. And I printed these ones out on something called rice paper, because I wanted to see if rice paper was any better or different than tissue paper. So, and I think what I'll do with these ones, I don't think I will paint when I do the collage with this one, the decoupage. I won't paint this pumpkin, but I will paint the pumpkin for this one, and that's what I'm going to do first. So what I'm going to do is protect my surface with a cheap craft mat. This is just a cheap baking mat available on Amazon. I will link up for you so that you have it. I'm going to go ahead and clip this right at the top so that I don't have to worry about that. Grab my paintbrush and let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is just apply some gesso to this pumpkin. So you could just put the gesso directly onto the pumpkin or on your craft mat. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just going to get it covered because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I'd rather spend the time on the gesso, on the actual decoupage part. I am going to cover the top of the pumpkin. You can actually snap that piece off if you want and then decoupage that or paint it later. I'm going to leave it on just because less is more. Doing less is better. And I'm just going to decoupage right on top of that. I'm not going to worry about too much the bottom of this pumpkin, but I'm going to do 2 coats of gesso on this, but just a little bit on the bottom. that up. I'm not being super precise with this at all. I have no idea what that is, but I'm just going to get that out. I'm just getting some gesso down. Covering up that pumpkin. The reason why I'm putting the gesso down is because this is such a bright orange pumpkin that if I were to come over it with my decoupage, that orange is going to show through so brightly that I'm not going to get that muted look that I want, and I want a nice muted look. There's something on this, I'm going to just pop that off too. You can get rid of any imperfections while you're doing this, and just let this first coat dry. You can tell I'm not being super precise about this, and I'm getting it all over the place. Okay, so I'm going to let that coat dry. There's some over here. Let's not waste it. Okay, we're going to let that coat dry. And you can, again, use white paint if that's what you have. That will work just fine. Okay, while that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this pumpkin right here. So this pumpkin is also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to snap off that top. I'm going to take my rice paper here and another one of these little foam brushes. I'm going to open up my Mod Podge. Yay, it opened! That's always a positive sign. And I'm going to go directly in there with my brush, and now I want to get this thing coated with the Mod Podge. I don't want there to be any place where it doesn't have Mod Podge on it. I just want it to be coated. I don't care about wasting it because it's not going to be wasted. It's going to adhere the rice paper. So because this is not a gessoed surface, that Mod Podge likes to kind of start to bubble up, which is a little annoying, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and start the process of wrapping my pumpkin. So to wrap my pumpkin, I'm just going to take my rice paper and I'm going to place it on top of the pumpkin and just start to push it down and smooth it out. Again, I'm not worried too much about being super precise. If you are worried about wrinkles, then that's fine. Just spend some more time making sure you don't have wrinkles. Oops, I tore it. That's okay. I'm being a little bit too aggressive with my... I forget that what I'm working with is very sensitive. Okay, that looks great. This is perfect. Look how cute that is. That's going to be fabulous. I have a little error here, but I'll mess with that later. I'm going to go ahead and keep on wrapping around this little pumpkin with my Mod Podge. And I'm going to gently lay it down this time. I'm not going to be too aggressive with it because I learned my lesson, and I'm going to have to go back and fix that one area. It's not going to be a problem though, because fixing the error is as easy as just patching. Just a patch right on top. Any place where you have errors or the tissue paper's moving, like here, or it came off on your finger like mine did, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll do a quick patch. Okay. I'm going to finish this off here on the edge, on both edges. Now, I don't worry about trimming any of it at all, because what I'm working with is rice paper and tissue paper. So it's going to fold into the little gaps and things. So there's no need to worry about trimming. It'll just tear where it needs to tear. Adorable. Okay. I've got it all where I want it. It's sticking down, which is great. That Mod Podge is definitely starting to work and adhere. I'm going to start working at the top as well and get that Mod Podge in here. You could Mod Podge also the paper if you prefer. Just bring your brush up there and just be careful not to rip the paper, because then you'll have to fix your error. I call it fixing an error, but it's not really an error. It's just part of the Mod Podge process, and when you're working with delicate materials like this. The key though is that you want to get every piece. Every piece has to have Mod Podge on it or it won't stick down. And the good news with Mod Podge is that it's super cheap. Well, I don't know. It's not that cheap. It's cheaper than matte medium. And you can actually make Mod Podge. I don't know what the recipe is, but just Google make your own Mod Podge. And for a craft like this, it doesn't matter because you'll keep this for a few years. And it will last for years. Don't you worry, it'll last for years, this pumpkin. Alright, so we have half a pumpkin done already. This is great. It's looking good. Do have some area, I think, where I didn't quite get it to stick down. Oops, my finger just pulled that piece up. And if you have the same issue that I might have, you just need to lift it up before it dries, otherwise it will rip. I'm just going to come in here. This is a great activity for you to do with the kids too. So if you guys, maybe you're making pumpkins with me, how fun would that be? I hope that you go and get pumpkins and then play this video and we can do it together. Oops. And you can see me make mistakes and laugh with me, because it's funny. Because mistakes are hilarious. Because this is fun and it's enjoyable. And these are going to be unique pumpkins that nobody in your neighborhood's going to have. Nobody in your church is going to have them. These are going to be your pumpkins. Unless, of course, you are doing this as a church activity, in which case, hello everybody. Alright, time for the next one. It's the same process. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep on keeping on with this. I'm just going to put the Mod Podge down anywhere that my tissue paper needs to go is where that Mod Podge is going to go. I try to get it somewhat halfway. Now, this is the part where I start to get a little bit concerned about cutting. I have a little bit of a border on this, so I'm just going to quickly cut that off. Just because I don't want a white stripe right down the middle of my pumpkin. Oop. That just happens with the print. So, have you ever decorated a pumpkin before for Thanksgiving or for Halloween? Have you ever done one of these Mod Podge things before? I would love to know if you have, and then what are your tips for success? I'm sure there are people that would love to read your comments on what they can do to make their pumpkins look awesome. Do you glitter yours? What do you do with yours? I should have cut this paper before I put it on, because I want to make sure that as we finish up this first part of this process, that I don't have any of that white just kind of hanging out. I do have some at the top, but I'm going to cover that in a minute. Alright, let's keep going. A lot of Mod Podge down here. Now if you're, on a budget and you can't afford Mod Podge, I really think you can, I'm pretty sure there are tutorials online where you can just use like glue. I mean, that's really what Mod Podge is. Maybe you can just thin up some Elmer's glue, but definitely look up those tutorials. I'm just finishing up the wrapping here, just like wrapping an odd Christmas present. My hands are starting to get a little bit sticky. I didn't really worry too much about the white border when I first started with this, because I knew I was going to come back around, but I probably should have cut that white border off before I started applying this second piece. Just FYI. Probably would have been a better idea. Alright. Watch that as you keep going. Your fingers might start to get sticky. Mine are starting to get a little bit sticky, and if they are sticky, they will start pulling on this paper, on this tissue paper. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. Do I want to use all of this? I don't want to use all of this. I'm just going to chop it off right here, and I'm going to use the rest in this last piece here. Come on. Make sure, again, if you're wherever that paper is going to stick, you need the Mod Podge, otherwise it's not going to stick very well. So if you want to, if you find it easier to coat the page before you apply it, that's fine. I'm just going really fast because I don't care. I don't really worry too much about perfection in my life at all. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so far so good. See how it's starting to look really cool? Okay. I'm gonna just kind of get these pieces down. And I need to clean my hands soon, because my hands are starting to get really too sticky, and then that's when I start to pull up on the rice paper. And see, like I did right there. So it'd be good to have a little bit of like a baby wipe nearby. Oops. Whoa. Geronimo. Okay. So layer 1 is almost done. I've got a couple patches that need to be patched, but besides that, it is looking pretty good. Actually, it's looking really good. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside just for a quick minute to let it just kind of dry while I do the second coat of gesso here. And get some of that Mod Podge off my hand. This is definitely a messy project, but it is fun. I'm having a great time. Okay. Sticky, sticky, sticky. Oh, look at that. It's all sticky. Okay. Next. if you are concerned about your hand getting too much Mod Podge on it, then you might want to wear gloves. Okay, I just applied the second coat of gesso onto the pumpkin, and now I'm just going to paint the pumpkin again, painting it white. Painting the pumpkin white. Painting the pumpkin white. I think this is going to be fine. If you get a little rough with your pumpkin and the top pops off, mine's not going to pop off, but if it does pop off, don't worry about it. Don't throw it away. You can just glue it back on with a little bit of glue. You can even just Mod Podge it on. It should be fine. Again, I'm not worried too much about the bottom of this pumpkin. It's gonna be sitting straight up and down anyways, so I'm not gonna put too much thought or effort into the bottom. There we go. That's looking good. Just a nice thin layers, two layers is what we got here. And we're gonna let this dry. All right, so layer number 2 is done. Toss this brush out. You could definitely rinse that brush out. I'm just throwing it away because it probably won't last another project. It's really a cheap brush. Alright, back to the brown pumpkin. So at this point I want to fix any errors that I have with my pumpkin. So I'm going to be using extra pieces of my tissue paper. I thought I had a piece here. Perfect. So to fix the errors, you just need a little piece of your tissue paper, and you just want to dab where the little missing part is. So for example, right there, just dab, dab. Okay, and then you're just going to patch it. Oops, there's a little white piece there. There we go. Patch it. Okay. Like a little boo-boo. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. We've got some up here that needs to get done, but I just want to make sure I don't have any more boo-boos. Oh, here's one. You might find it helpful to just work on one side at a time. That is totally up to you. Since I'm working on video, I try to do things as quickly as possible because I want you to see how easy it is and how it's really not a big deal if it's not perfect. If you wanted to match the patch up, you can. I'm not going to do that, but you could. Okay, that patch is done, and there's a couple more patches. One right here. Whoa. My Mod Podge is dripping. She is going crazy with Mod Podge. Here, let's do this one. This one will fit this space. Ah. I think this project would be really fun at a women's event at church. I could just see the ladies getting together with these dollar store pumpkins and this tissue paper and just going to town. Alright, so that's as good that I had the third sheet, because here's the third sheet. I'm just going to rip off some pieces. Fix those patches. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. And we need to do the top of the pumpkin. Alright. Now I'm just going to quickly just check to make sure there are no more areas that need to be considered. I think it looks great. So the next step is just you can do one of two things. You can even start to do the Mod Podge on top if you want to. Or you can varnish it with a varnish medium, and I will show that to you in just a minute, because that's what I think I want to do with mine, is give it a real high gloss. But you can definitely, I would probably at least let it sit for just a minute before you do the top, because some of my spots are still too wet, and if I were to come in here, like you can see right here, I came in with my finger and almost ripped it. So I just want to give it a chance to catch up with me. Okay, for this pumpkin here, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the video, and I'm actually going to hit it with a little heat just to kind of dry it real quickly. And then I'm going to fast forward through this part in the video and until we get to the varnish stage, so you don't have to watch me continue to do decoupage. That will take hours. Okay, I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, I am back and I just finished Mod Podging the second pumpkin, and I'm just taking a baby wipe and just wiping the rim of my Mod Podge container, because if you don't wipe off the rim, that Mod Podge is going to stick and it's going to be hard to get that lid off. I'm going to let that one dry for just a minute as I work on varnishing this pumpkin here. He's pretty much almost completely dry, which is nice. Will make the varnishing a lot easier. When you varnish, you can use a sealer. This is a spray sealer that I will not be using on camera because I'm not in a ventilated area. But if you are going to use something like this, this is a DecoArt Americana sealer. and it is a gloss and it works lovely. In fact, it's probably a better idea to use something like this than it is to come in with the varnish I'm about to use. That is because this, you just spray it and you can let it sit, and you're not going to move any of the color with a brush, because once I come in here with this varnish, I'm going to be using Liquitex Professional High Gloss Varnish. Once I come in here with this varnish, I might actually bleed some of this pumpkin color, but you know, I'm on camera, so I want to make sure that you guys can see what the varnishing looks like. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the varnish on here, and I'm just going to hold my pumpkin at the stem and then just start to use a very thin layer of varnish, and that is what that is going to do. It's going to shine up this pumpkin. Now, if you are not happy with your pumpkin, and let's say you don't like, there's too many wrinkles in it or whatever, you can come over your pumpkin with a Mod Podge. It's totally okay. You can do another layer of it and get all the stuff down that you want down. It's up to you. But you do not need a lot of varnish. You just need a little bit, just a very thin layer of the varnish. And I probably will not varnish too close to the end because I don't want it to stick to anything. But this is a very high gloss varnish, so you're going to get a really pretty shine to this pumpkin. They have all different kinds of sealers. They even have kinds that you can use if you want to sparkle to it. They have lots of things on the market. So buy what you like, you know, experiment with what you see out there, and you know, try it and see if you like it. And if you like it, do it again. If you don't like it, a lot of times you can take back the item you don't like. If you are in the States, I know Joann's has a guarantee. I believe Michael's does. So yeah, just, you don't have to keep it if you don't like it. I'm gonna just finish off the top of this pumpkin with that varnish. And we're going to let it sit there and let it just do its job and make the pumpkin shiny. Alright, this is still a little wet, so I'm going to hit it with a little bit of heat. If you are going to use heat on this pumpkin, remember it's styrofoam, so if you use too much heat on it, it'll ruin it. So just be real careful with it if you do decide to use heat. I'm just going to heat mine just real lightly, just so I can start the varnish process. Okay, our pumpkins are done. I do have a little one, the little tiny one drying over here in the corner. So here he is. He's just going to dry over there in the corner, and hopefully it turns out I just threw some Mod Podge and wrapped him real quickly. But I did want to show the difference between this is the Liquitex High Gloss Varnish, and then I went ahead and did do the Deco Arts gloss as well on this one, so you can definitely see that that is very glossy as well. I think these are really going to be super cute together, sitting on my table with a little bit of scattered fall leaves, I think, with maybe some burlap. I think they are going to make a perfect decoration. So I hope that this video was helpful to you, and I would love to see your pumpkins. Give us some pictures. Show us some pictures over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/Bible Journaling Ministries. And you can see us in our community as well. We'd love to see you there. I hope that you have, our community is the Bible Journaling for Beginners community. I hope that this was really helpful to you. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up, share this with a friend, and go ahead and take our free beginner's course for Bible journaling over at BibleJournalingMinistries.com. You have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye!